guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. I'm so much more mellow now than when I came up with a topic for today's video. I did it this morning and I was considering recording, but it was a spontaneous, I had a moment and I didn't really want to ruin it for myself by bringing up the camera. And so now I'm quite mellow. You know, I've been going through my entire day, done all the work, I've hit my workout. It's getting pretty hot. I was training outside in the sun, you know, and yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just in a completely different mood, but that's fine. Do you notice on this channel that I quite often talk about like my mood, my state, how I feel? Both like I talk about like, oh, I went through a tougher period recently, blah blah, or I've been running high, I've been feeling really good lately, been in a high state, you know, or even just on the day like, oh, I'm a bit tired now, like I'm telling you now, you know, that, oh, I was in a more wound up state this morning when I thought of this idea, now I'm like this. It is because it's so important, you know, it's not me just talking about myself, it's as if, you know, I use my experience to convey something, all this, because it is everything, your state, right? When you realize that, you know, you have to check certain boxes with your health regimen and, you know, just how you go about your life, but just the way you feel, your frequency, you know, the emotion, energy in motion, the higher frequency you're vibing on, the higher energy you have, basically. The way you feel is so important for just your ability to do things in life, but how you experience life, right? So that's why I often I use it just to convey something, right? And I try to connect the dots with why was I feeling like this? Oh, it was because of this. And how do I raise my frequency? What things put me in a higher state so I feel better, blah, blah, blah. You know, all these things. That's why I talk about the state and my state often, because I'm just an example here. I, of course, have more access. I happen to have more access to Theo's inner world, what's going on, right? So that's what I use to relate to you guys with. But yeah, that's the point. So I'm going to talk about suffering now. And again, I'm going to use my experience of it. Why we have to suffer. I think it was in the Buddhism. It wasn't even Buddha, the first guy that they called Buddha. That suffering is the sole origin of consciousness. Well, what I take that to mean is that, you know, we're born pure and then we get traumatized by the world and we fall into this ego character. We're playing a character, basically. And we're running our scripts and we're ending up in familiar situations in life. And we can have a tough time. But as long as we don't suffer enough, if there's enough pleasure or escapism we can resort to, the suffering won't like wake us up completely, but it will still be tough when we have to face it, right? And so suffering, enough suffering, is what can finally wake you up and make you change and find yourself find your way back to your true self, the person that's hiding behind all these coping mechanisms and this ego face persona, and just habits, coping scripts you've come up with to deal with life. This is what happened to me with the panic attacks, right? That it hit so hard that all the ways I had been I have been struggling with anxiety and depression on and off for a long time in my life. And now physical health stuff too, but I didn't realize how all that is connected back then. Anyway, when the panic attacks came, I couldn't just, you know, it didn't have smoking weed and going out and getting drunk, for instance. Like smoking weed basically just made me even more paranoid when I was in that kind of state, right? Drinking, absolutely, it takes the edge off when you did it, but it was so the hangover when you're going through like panic attacks and you have very strong anxiety on a daily basis. You know, you're very fast, it doesn't work. The negatives don't weigh up for the positives of the alcohol unless you stay drunk all the time, and that was not something I ever did, right? No, but so truly suffering from these panic attacks, finding no escape, that's what actually pushed me to, you know, it made me realize, first of all, that life was actually important, something I valued. I was sort of a nihilist before, you know, I thought that I didn't care if I lived or died, but when I felt like that I might actually my life is actually threatened here. That's when I woke up and realized, no, I do want to live. And it pushed me to be able to face these panic attacks for long enough till I overcame them. And then it pushed me into actually considering a life change, starting what I did, starting the very light strength workouts, being outside walking a bit more, cutting out the obvious crap from the diet, and then gradually improving from that point. It was the suffering that woke me up to this, right? The other thing, that's just the point, that suffering, why you need to suffer is like you're gonna suffer and suffer and suffer until you learn the lesson, and then you can overcome the suffering. And so the suffering has to exist in order for the upside, the other side. Everything in this universe exists by contrast. Black and white, dark and light. Breathe in, breathe out. Sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. Stress, relax. Happy, sad, and so on. Yeah, there's this duality in this 3D world. If we're going to get all spiritual, of course, our souls, there's no duality there. It's all unity. But in this human experience we're having, there's gotta be duality of things. So in order to experience, feel your best in life, experience meaning, true purpose, peace, contentment, you gotta have gone through suffering, experience immense dread, horror, meaninglessness, in order to get that upside. And what I mean by this is not necessarily, like, all people haven't suffered all that much in life, but I noticed, like, for instance, a couple, an older couple, like, yeah, I think they've been doing pretty good for most of their life. But when one of them got cancer, they went through, like, it was the toughest challenge they ever had. And this woman experienced, like, strong anxiety for the first time in her life. Now she was like, to others, she had told afterwards, like, oh, now I understand what you mean with anxiety. It's terrible, And then, but the cancer, it was okay with all that. And then they started living way differently, taking, much healthier lifestyle. And just the way I see them now, they seem to be enjoying such a much better life. So, it's not a question of like, oh, that's good that you get cancer or whatever bad happens to you in your life. But just as there's gotta be duality of things, it's also like the bigger the downside of something, the bigger the potential upside if you play your cards right, if you wake up to the suffering and listen to the lesson that's there, right? So for me, it was this morning. Now I'm getting into it. I'm getting a little pumped again because all of this is pretty cool and inspiring to me. But I was walking by the beach. I think most mornings I go for a walk that ends like on the shore. And it just hit me. I'm walking with such a light step. And I first been walking just in complete silence. I've been completely content to just walk, be with myself, And I started listening to some video game music. And then I just get this, I've been walking, I've had a tough year, it was been really heavy this year, And so I get a flashback. I've been walking at the exact same place earlier this year, but so heavy in my step after having done, even when I'm in a place where I'm taking good care of myself, I'm training well, I'm eating well, I'm making sleep the priority, everything, and still I had such low energy. I barely managed to do the minimum, right? Because of my inner state, I'm there obsessing about the past and worried about the future, and it drains me. And so I remember thinking many times in Swedish, the word is like, jag orkar inte mer. It's basically like, I can't do this anymore. But I thought it so many times. I knew it wasn't true, but that was my experience. I was suffering. I was having a tough time. I'm not seeing much meaning and joy or upside to anything. I feel like I'm doing the right things I can do, and it's not working. And now I'm walking there, just really, when the video game music hit me, that I've listened to and felt nothing, by the way, also in that former state. When I listen to it and I start feeling this excitement, and it just hits me. I'm walking in the same place, and now I'm there again. And it's nothing special. I didn't need the music. The music was just stronger for me now. But the comparison just occurred to me, and I almost started crying. And that's when I kind of wanted to record a video in that, but I didn't want to ruin the moment for myself. But I'm just like, yeah, like so many, because when I think back to when I'm walking and I'm feeling really, really down, and I'm like, right in this moment, it feels worth it, like I understand now, because now I've learned my lessons here and I get to see the upside. I get to reap the rewards from it. So that would be my like practical advice about this, because this is more of a, you know, philosophical or spiritual topic, right? With why do we have to suffer, and what is the meaning of it, and that. But that I've been sticking to what you gotta do. It's the whole point with suffering, that even when we learn these lessons, you know, when we suffer because of something unpredictable and that seems like new or overwhelming to us, now it's gonna feel like, you know, I can't do anything about it. Again, I'm stuck here again. I'm doing, like I said, I felt like I was doing my best, everything I can, and still I'm like, I'm so wiped out and so low, you know. Yeah, the point is, like, the level up here is to just stoically, I would call it stoically remember, because it's like you can't experience like emotionally at all, like, yeah, I'm optimistic about the future, like, oh yeah, I've been through this before, it's gonna work out all right. You just gotta know it. You just gotta have to observe and discern, meditate, practice mindfulness, and disassociate from your state. Like, disassociate not in a bad way, you know, completely shut down, but, you know, it is what it is. You're gonna have to process it and keep reminding yourself that, yeah, this is what I'm going through right now. I'm doing my best. It's because of the state. I feel like this. I need to be feeling like this right now in order to learn the lesson or overcome or recover whatever your particular situation is, right? That's the practical advice, if you see what I mean. Like, there's not going to be a way. I feel like, I don't know if I'm going to ever feel in life. Like, now I'm just so enlightened in life. I really can't suffer anymore. I'm not sure if there is a point, but as long as it isn't like that anyway, that's like, you're just going to have to deal with it. There's no such thing as, hey, here, cure suffering. It's just mindset and how do I deal with it, you know. Maybe you can be more efficient, process your, you know, the bad stuff faster. But, yeah, difficult now, difficult later, guys. That's what it comes down to. I don't know, what did I even talk about in this video? I just let it flow, you know. I tapped in, download for you guys. No, it's a good time to be alive, guys. Nice weather here. I hope you're enjoying your summer wherever you are. Please like, please comment. What do you think? What do you think of a video like this? Please let me know. Please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, mindset, spirituality, I guess. It is a mindset, guys. You're gonna have to suffer. Okay, peace.